ito naman at nagbabalik ang mag-iisa ng Leslie Jane B. Soto.
Name is Angelica Santos, student of TMF PCI. We are here to discuss all about the evolution of transmission of information, year 1899 to 1945.
Halina't samahan ako sa paglalakbay natin sa taong 1899 kung saan ang first magnetic recordings were released. The magnetic recordings is a method of preserving sounds, pictures, and data in the form of electrical signals through the selective magnetization of portion of a magnetic material. The principle of magnetic recording was first demonstrated by the Danish engineer Valdemar Poulsen in 90s, when he introduced a machine called the telegraphone that recorded speech magnetically on steel wire. Dumayo naman tayo sa taong 1902 kung saan ang motion picture special effects were used.
A few moments later.
Special effects, artificial, visual, or mechanical effects introduced into a movie or television series. The earliest special effects were created through special camera lenses or through tricks such as projecting a movie background behind the actors. One of the earliest special effects tricks was 1902's Leroy's Dance Laloon. As the avatar of this time, the film left viewers marveling at the stunning fantasy of the world depicted on screen. The effects were largely creations of George Melis, who directed hundreds of short films before working on this masterpiece.
Humayo naman tayo sa taong 1906 kung saan si Led De Forest invented the electronic amplifying tube or triode.
Oh my God! Wow!
So let's talk about the invention of Led De Forest. The Odeon was an electronic detecting or amplifying vacuum tube invented by an American electrical engineer, Led De Forest, in 1906. It was the first triode, consisting of an evacuated glass tube containing 3 electrodes, a heated filament, a grid, and a plate. It is important in the history of technology because it was the first widely used electronic device which could amplify a small electrical signal applied to the grid, could control a larger current flowing from the filament to plate.
In 1923, Vladimir Zworykin, a Russian immigrant to the United States, working at Westinghouse Laboratories in Pressburg, patented the iconoscope. The first electronic television camera he designed, however, was incomplete. Vladimir Zworykin is also sometimes cited as the father of electronic television because of his invention of the iconoscope in 1923 and his invention of the kinescope in 1929. His design was one of the first to demonstrate a television system with all the features of modern picture tubes.
Pag-usapan naman natin ang taong 1926 kung saan the first practical sound movie were exist. A sound film is a motion picture with synchronized sound or sound technologically coupled to image as opposed to a silent film. The primary steps in the commercialization of sound cinema were taken in the mid to late 1920s At first, the sound films, which included synchronized dialogue known as talking pictures or talkies, were exclusively shorts. The earliest feature-length movies with recorded sound included only music and effects. The first feature film originally presented as a talkie was The Jazz Singer, which premiered only October 6, 1927. A major hit, it was made with Vitaphone, which was at the time the leading brand of sound on this technology.
In April 1939, National Broadcasting Company, or what we called NBC, introduced regularly scheduled electronic television broadcasting in America. The first television broadcast aired was the dedication of the RCA Pavilion at the 1939 New York World's Fairgrounds. It was introduced by David Sarnoff himself. Later, the month on April 30, opening day ceremonies at the World's Fair were telecast in the medium's first major production, featuring a speech by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the first U.S. president to appear on television.
1 minute 37 seconds later.
Next is the year of 1940s, were the beginnings of information science as disciplines.
Information science, also information studies, is an interdisciplinary science primarily concerned with the collection, classification, manipulation, storage, retrieval, and dissemination of information. It focuses on understanding problems from the perspective of the stakeholders involved and then applying information technology as needed.
Next is in the year of 1945, where Vannevar Bush foresaw the information of hypertext. Okay, let's talk about Vannevar Bush. Vannevar Bush is normally considered the grandfather of hypertext, since he proposed a system we would now describe as a hypertext system as long ago as 1945. This system, the MEMEX, or Memory Extender, was never implemented, however, but was only described in the Turing and Bush papers. Bush actually developed some of his ideas for the MEMEX in 1932 and 1933, and finally wrote a draft paper on it in 1939. For various reasons, this manuscript was not published until 1945, when it appeared in the Atlantic Monthly under the title of As We May Think.
Diyan nagtatapos ang ating paglalakbay sa taong nabanggit. Thank you for watching!